Hello, everyone. Welcome to Latona's open house. This is about volleyball training ground, and we are joined by Kevin Smullen, who is the seller. And actually, I'm looking at my screen, and I noticed that I accidentally missed a dash. It's volleyball-trading-ground.com. Sorry about that, everybody. Anyway, Kevin, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah. A little housekeeping before we get started. For those of you who can't hear, hopefully you can see this on the screen. But I have everybody's phone muted. So if you want to ask a question, please type the message using the GoToWebinar software, and I will ask Kevin the question during the appropriate time. If I know that we're about to get to a section about that in the presentation, then I'll wait to ask your question until we get to that section. Otherwise, I will ask a question at the end of it. But the more questions, the better. If you have any questions, please send them. And with that, we can get started. Probably the best way to start, Kevin, is if you would just take a few minutes and tell everybody why you started the site, what it's all about.
Sure, not a problem. Well, as most people can probably guess, the site has a lot to do with volleyball. I initially started the site a little over 3 years ago, and my motivation for starting it is I've always played and coached volleyball at some form or another, just a sport I've always been very passionate about. And in talking with others and looking at other sites on the internet, there really wasn't a lot of information about, as far as training, teaching people how to play the game, teaching people the positions, how to run an offense, resources for coaches on being a better coach. And so as I started looking and just for my own edification and being a better player and coach, there really wasn't a lot out there. And so that was kind of the light, the light went on for me and said, okay, here's an opportunity to create something where there isn't anything and have a site that's very niche, very specific, and very detailed about playing volleyball.
That's great. So we're going to get straight into some of the revenue details. But before we do, I'll just kind of show everybody on the screen here the deal snapshot. This is an affordable site, $20,000, and as everybody can see immediately, at a very reasonable multiple. There's just over $10,000 in revenue. But let's dig into this. I've got on here a bunch of screenshots, and Kevin, I'm just going to kind of ask you to explain them. But we're going to be looking at, just so everybody knows, we're going to be looking at screenshots from Google AdSense, Amazon's affiliate program, ClickBank, and ebook sales. So let's go. Let's go to the first one real quick. So this is AdSense for July, right?
Correct, yes.
All right, so we got $555, and then we got August. Oh, so it doubled in August. Do you know why?
Yeah, I do. There was a considerable spike in traffic that was directly related to the Olympics. So with the Olympics over there in Great Britain, there was a lot of spike in traffic, especially associated with the beach volleyball resources that I have on the website.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I remember when we first started talking about this site, how big volleyball is during the Olympics. I mean, you can't turn on TV without seeing volleyball.
Right.
September, so you were still doing well. Probably this was probably also from the Olympics. So
correct. Yeah, there was a little residue.
So would you say, let's go back to this summary page. So AdSense. Looks like AdSense is normally between $350 and $450 when it's not Olympics. Would you agree with that? Like you did $550 in October 2011.
I mean, yes and no. Obviously, volleyball is a seasonal sport. So one of the things for anybody considering this site that they would want to know, the women's volleyball season for college, high school, junior high, it's a fall sport, so it's going on right now. And then the men's sport is typically a spring sport. So, and then obviously during the summer you've got all of the beach volleyball leagues and tournaments and things that are going on. So for the most part, the only time this site really has any kind of a lull is during the winter sports when nobody's in season as far as volleyball is concerned. That being said, yeah, I mean, you can look at those numbers and say traditionally the AdSense is between 350, 400, somewhere around there. But as you'll see with the corresponding traffic increase that happened not only prior to the Olympics but still is going on now, like for example for October, I'm over 600 this month already. So it does fluctuate, but yeah, that's pretty close.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, I didn't know that the men and women and everybody has different seasons. And then, of course, it makes sense what you're saying about beach volleyball in the summer. I think overall for a sport-related website, that's pretty stable.
Yeah, yeah. The only time it's not in season is the winter months.
Okay. All right. So Amazon, do you know what type of things you're selling on Amazon?
Right. So with since this is a volleyball-related site, all the products that I'm selling on Amazon are volleyball-related. A lot of them are being shoes, knee pads, elbow pads, nets, like outdoor net sets. So a lot of those products are reviewed on the site, and then all of the products that I sell on the site that are volleyball-related, 100% of those link to Amazon.
Okay. So pretty well. A couple. Okay, so almost 300 in August, September 250.
Yep.
ClickBank. You sell ebooks?
Yeah, there's only one ebook through ClickBank that I sell on my site, and that is a vertical jump program. That's a very highly requested item for volleyball players, being able to increase their vertical jump. And so there's a program that I sell through ClickBank that is a vertical jump program.
Okay. So let's see, $52. And then now tell us about this. Did you write? Is this your ebook that you're selling here?
Yes, correct, and that would be included with the site for the person who purchased it. I created an ebook about volleyball drills to help players and coaches. That ebook is about 70 pages, and I sell it on the site for $19.95.
Okay. That's good stuff. How long did it take you to do that, just out of curiosity?
The ebook, because it's more than just text, there's a lot of diagrams of, the movements of the drills and things like that. So being able to draw all that out and make it look professional. It took me about 2 months to write that.
Oh, okay. That's a real asset to be selling with the site then.
Yes.
I hope everybody sees that. So here's August. You sold a bunch of them. Have you played with different price points, or has it always been $19.95?
Every now and then with my newsletter, I'll send out like a discount code. Usually the discount code is $5, so it'll be $14.95. But I mean, as far as playing with price points, I really haven't. The major reason for that is the ebook that I wrote, I released in January of this year. So it hasn't been out there terribly long.
Okay. September. How's it doing for October?
October, I haven't pulled the numbers, but I did a discount this month. I would expect, if I pulled up the numbers, it'll be about just shy of 200, I would expect.
So expenses. What is eJunkie?
So eJunkie is it's a payment collection service, plus they host the ebook. So anytime someone decides to purchase the ebook, or the volleyball drills book, it goes through eJunkie. They've got the ebook hosted on their site, so anytime somebody goes into PayPal, makes the payment, they're collecting the payment, sending it to PayPal for me, and then there's an automatic email that's sent to the purchaser that delivers the ebook. So
got it.
It's a $5 a month fee for that. That's where the $60 is.
Got it. Okay, so you're not running analytics on your site?
Yes, I am. And those traffic snapshots are just from a different service.
Okay. All right. So then we don't have screenshots of analytics in this presentation, but just for everybody listening, from well, I assume that since you have analytics, we can get it for anybody who's interested in the site if they request it.
Yeah, of course.
So in the meantime, we'll talk about this. So, well, let's exactly what we expected, right? December was a little bit less in the winter, but other than that, it's pretty stable with a big spike around August 2012 for the Olympics, and cruising since then. I think you sent me this. Yeah. Actually, it says right here on the screen on October 19th. So you had already done 1,684 visits on the 19th.
Correct.
Okay, so.
And those are daily. So the visitors, so there's the 1,286, that's just the daily average, and then the visits are total visitors, so not just the uniques.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. All right, still, yeah, so 32,000 visits even by the 19th is still really good, so it's still going strong even after the Olympics.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so here's just some more details for people to look at real quick. Here's August, September. So I pulled this screenshot. Most people listening, they know who SEMrush is, just a third-party service. So according to them, the site ranks for 698 keywords. I imagine volleyball training is the money keyword. And I'm sure in analytics we could find a lot more.
Yes.
And this is a screenshot from Majestic SEO. Just showing everybody that it looks like it has about 1,051 backlinks across 107 domains. Do you have an SEO strategy, or is everything just kind of taking care of itself, Kevin?
Because of the niche. The niche nature of the site, a lot of times the people who are volleyball enthusiasts, they'll just come and really the content has created the majority of the links. So I've done some article marketing, I've done, some listing with directories and, just some of the typical SEO stuff, but by and large the content itself has really done the majority of it.
Okay. So tell us about a day in the life running the website.
Well, I think honestly that's the most attractive thing about the site and why somebody would want it. Part of the reason why I designed it the way I did is I remember, my sister had a business where she was selling a bunch of crafts on a website, and so anytime there was an order, she was slaving away making the crafts. And it got to the point where she was so busy she couldn't even keep up with the number of orders, and eventually she just quit. Well, I learned a lesson from that, and I decided, okay, as I monetize my site and build this out, I don't want to spend any time doing any of those kinds of things. So a day in my life of running the site is the only time I really spend on the site is creating new content.
And how much time do you spend creating content?
Well, usually as much as time allows, but I usually only spend an hour or two a week just creating a couple new pages. There's a monthly newsletter that I send out. I have about just shy of 3,000 subscribers to that. Okay,
that's good information. What do you put in those newsletters?
Generally, it's divided into a couple of sections. So the first section is the main reason why people subscribe is the volleyball tips that are helping them become better players and new things for them to focus on. There's a section that talks about new updates to the website. And then the last section is what I call the product recommendations. So I'll feature like a new volleyball or a new net or a new pair of shoes or whatever, and then that's just a way to monetize the newsletter.
Sure, and those 3,000 email addresses, they come with the site, right?
Absolutely, yes.
What do you use, what kind of service do you use for managing that list?
The service that I used a service called Site Build It to not only build the site, but it also manages all of the those names for the newsletters. So basically, whoever decides to purchase the site, I would just transfer that account over to whoever decides to buy it. They would have access to.
So is that the same is that the same expense as the hosting expense then?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so that 300, whatever that number was that we saw on the other slide for your hosting expense covers the website and the newsletter.
Correct, and that's $300 a year. Yes.
Okay. Got it. Wait, this question is kind of like, if you were to hand the keys over to someone and they asked you, what you always saw as the future of the site, or if there's anything that you you thought you were going to do, but you never got around to doing it? You know, what kind of comments do you have on stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. One of the most common requests I get from visitors to the site and my newsletter is if there's going to be any kind of volleyball camps or any kind of training that's going to be offered in any part of the country. I've just never had the time or resources to devote to that. So for somebody who either had that knowledge and expertise and wanted to provide that, or would be more interested in linking up with, there's plenty of reputable volleyball camps out there that do a great job. So there's opportunities to monetize that way. Even if you're not providing the camps themselves, being able to, link to them and getting a referral fee for, for the number of people attending the camps or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever kind of negotiation they want to get there.
I send my daughter to gymnastics camp every year. It costs me like $5,000 a year. It's big business.
Sure, and volleyball is no different.
Yeah, I would think so. Okay. Why are you selling the site?
A lot of it just has to do with the fact that I've started a new business. Just providing therapeutic services to people is something I'm a lot more passionate about, and so selling this site would just give me an opportunity to capitalize that a little bit more.
Okay. So, Kevin, if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of talk to the audience for a minute. This is something I put together that just it uses a tool that is on Latona's. It's if you click on Webmaster Tools in the top navigation and then Net Present Value Calculator, it pulls this up. So what it does, and I'll kind of walk everybody through it from left to right here. So the first thing you would do is you would input the purchase price, and what I've done here is I put $20,000, which is the current asking price. And then the second field is the discount rate, and what you want to put there is what it would cost you if you wanted to borrow money, and what someone's going to charge you for interest, or if you're using cash that's in the bank, what is kind of the minimum expected return you would expect on your money. So I just kind of put 10% there as a standard number to use. Then you want to provide a risk adjustment. So that's basically, what do you think is the chance that the site could completely go away, that all of the revenue could completely dry up and then become worthless? And, I wouldn't recommend putting less than 10% on anything. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't put less than 10% on Facebook or Google. So being that this particular slide is the low-risk financial analysis, I put 10%. And mathematically what happens is that you get a risk-adjusted discount rate of 20%. So it's basically the discount rate plus the risk adjustment. And the way to think about the value of any business is that the current value of any company is the present value of future cash flows. And that's kind of what the whole goal here is, to try to figure out what is the present value of the future cash flow. And to do that, you have to figure out what the future cash flow is first. You have to make your best guess, and then you've got to discount it to get the present value. And you discount it by the time value of money, this discount rate, and the risk adjustment factor. Sorry, I went to the next page. So what happens is you've got a business here that does $10,127.60 in cash flow that has been discounted to $8,439 because it got discounted by 20%. And then what I'm doing here is rather than, you can use the calculator, you can add years and you can kind of figure different revenue and different expenses for each year. But what I've done for simplicity is just left it at 1 year. And in step 4, I check the box to keep it. And what this means is, for the sake of trying to put our hands around the math here, we're using a perpetuity valuation. In other words, what is $10,127 a year for the rest of your life worth? The math behind that is $10,127 divided by that 20% risk-adjusted discount rate, and that equals $50,638. So the net present value is that $56.38 plus the $84.39 minus the $20,000 outgoing. So basically, you would be creating $23,000 worth of wealth to buy this site if you believe that it's really a super low risk investment and everything else that's on this page. I hope that made sense to everybody, but we're going to go through it one more time, but quicker. So this is the high risk analysis, and with this one we're saying, okay, well, what if you wanted to put a 25% risk adjustment on it, and so you're saying that there's a 25% chance that Google decides not to show the site anymore, everything goes terribly, and instead of keeping the site, we're going to sell it right here in step 4. We're gonna own it for a year, and then we're gonna sell it for $10,000 more than we paid for it. So we're gonna spend the next year trying to find another buyer for it. Well, in this scenario, you have a net present value of $3,962. In other words, you are gaining that much more wealth than the current value of future cash flow. So what I would suggest anybody to do is to just go to Latona's, and I'll show you how to get there. Here's our site. Click on Webmaster Tools, and then click on Net Present Value Calculator, and then you just start filling in these forms. Like I said, you can remove years, you can add years, you can try to figure out what your expenses and revenue are going to be in each year with whatever you project the growth to be, or if you're going to increase expenses to try to build it more, or whatever you plan on doing. And then, make an offer based on, making sure that you have a positive net present value in your assumption. So that's my little spiel on that. This is a pretty simple project, which it's just a nice little put together content site with an ebook. There's nothing real high tech or fancy going on, so we don't really have a lot of questions. I do have one question, Kevin. One of the viewers is asking, how is the site built? That they're guessing it's not WordPress. Did you do this in pure HTML, or are you using some kind of content management system?
Correct. It's built out of pure HTML.
Okay. Well, how long ago did you say?
There's an HTML template, and there's about 200 pages of content.
Okay. So when did you say you first built this again?
I started in February 3 years ago, so it's about 3.5 years old.
And just out of curiosity, what made you do it in pure HTML?
I initially started doing this not only because there was a lack of information out there about volleyball, but creating websites was just something I was always curious about and wanted to learn how. So yeah, I went about it the hard way, but I learned a lot of good lessons along the way.
Okay. Well, we got that question answered. Like I said, this isn't really a complicated deal. Is there anything you wanted to add? There's something I didn't ask you about. Any closing arguments, for lack of a better term?
No, I mean, really the only thing I would just bring up to people who have any kind of interest or curiosity about the site is the one thing I love about it is, like I said, I designed it from day one, that it wasn't going to be something I had to sit and manage and watch. And so for somebody who's looking to take on a project or just purchase a business that's producing cash flow with very little, the only effort, like I said, I put into it is just creating new content. So there's no orders for me to fill, there's no shipping, there's really none of those things. So it's a very low maintenance, low expense, high yield site. That's what I love about it.
I agree with you, and you get a thumbs up from me. I think that you've got a price to sell. I think that it looks very stable and very easy to run. So hopefully we'll get it sold for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this call for us and for everybody else who's listening.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Wait, hold on a second. One late question just came in. The images on the sites, do you have the rights to all the images that are on the site?
Correct, and those will be included as well.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem.
All right, take care.